Okay, in this episode I'm going to try to finish these out into refined bifaces. Okay, let's see, maybe I should start with this one. It's probably going to have some of the original surface on it when I finish because it's already really thin. I won't be able to flake all of it. Probably won't be able to get all that darker looking heat treat surface. Yeah, I won't be able to finish these out with natural tools until I make another tool set of antler tools. So in the meantime, I'll just finish these out with steel, maybe aluminum. I've got a busy weekend coming up, so I'm going to try to film some videos ahead of time. Right, so I can post them while I'm away. I got a trip I'm going to go to. I got to get on the road this weekend. So I'm going to film some stuff in advance. That way I can post it one video every day, even though I'm on the road. And then after I come back from my little road trip, I can start doing other things on video. So a lot of this trimming and short flakes is mainly downward strikes, okay? And even though I'm striking mainly downward, the flakes do travel somewhat. There's inward striking force on some of these strikes, but not much. Not for trimming the edge. Now I got a question on one of my older videos if I still knap like I do in my older videos. One of the main differences, I think, is the way I abrade. I didn't abrade the same way before in my older videos. I would abrade less. I abrade a lot more these days. Or I take more time and interrupt myself. I used to hate the interruptions, but now it's not so bad. Yeah, it's not so bad these days. The interruptions, when I interrupt myself, someone else interrupting me still bugs me, but when I can interrupt myself easier now. When I used to get in the zone, I didn't want to change up. In my older videos, I didn't want to change up what I'm doing. Like I wouldn't want to put the mallet down and get the abrader out every 30 seconds or whatever. That would drive me nuts. But over time, things have changed a little bit. And I noticed also that I'm relying more on less power on the hits, but I got more energy per hit. Like I used to insert these into a plastic rod like this type of plastic, insert the tip in there so only a little bit sticks out and hit the plastic rod. This absorbs a lot of energy, so I would have to hit really hard with a mallet. You know, plastic on plastic absorbs shock, but plastic on metal doesn't absorb that much shock, so I don't have to hit as hard. So that's what I've been doing lately. I have not been hitting as hard to get the same result, because it's just hitting on plain metal. It works really well, especially on the raw stuff. And if it gets really hard to knap, I will hit metal on metal to remove a flake. Now, metal on metal is a little bit dicey because it's very shocky on the piece, and you'll crack a lot of, or you'll crunch a lot of these striking areas, and you'll send in incipient cracks and stuff, and it's very dicey. But with some raw material, you can really abuse it a lot, and it's okay with you striking it extremely hard, or with a lot of force in a concentrated area. Now, there is a way you can shape these so it doesn't create those incipient cracks. You can bevel this and then hit on the flat. Right now I'm gouging all these flakes out. When it's rounded like this, I just gouge the flakes out. And when you gouge the flakes, you're not hitting on the slide. When you gouge them, it's like a BB hitting glass. You know how when a BB hits glass, it knocks out that Hertzian cone, right? But it also has these radial fractures coming out from that strike. Not always. Sometimes it just powers its way through the glass. Okay, but sometimes you'll have these radial cracks. And it happens, I think, because as this tool travels through the stone, the surface area in contact with the stone increases, so it wants to expand the striking area that's being blown away. It's expanding. If you're hitting on the flat, if you have this beveled and hit on the flat, it just maintains the same surface area and just slides without increasing the surface area in contact with the edge. So I've been hesitating to switch over to a flat percussion tip or a bevel or a chisel looking percussion tip, but I'm going to do that eventually. If you want to see someone use that beveled or chisel tip, watch Jason Newman. He has perfected that tip type for the indirect percussion flaker. Now I use that flattened, I do it this way, but it's actually underneath. You can't see it because it's a flattened section underneath. You know, when I'm striking, you don't see it. I'm doing this, but that's not what I mean. It's underneath actually, right? But it's like a 45-degree angle, but underneath, and it'll slide over the striking area. Now I do that with natural tools from the beginning. I did that with natural tools, but with metals I always had the gouging tip. Okay, so Jason Newman has developed the sliding tip with metal. Okay, that stage I haven't gone to yet. I tried it a couple times and I broke the pieces I was using, and they were pretty expensive pieces. I thought I was being smart, but I had to get used to that tip on some other material before I actually adopt it for all of my techniques. It's not as easy as it looks. Okay. So finishing these out, I thought I was going to be able to blow away a lot of the red color on this side, but it looks like it's pretty consistent. On this side, it's not consistent. I'm not sure why. that's a problem there. Even though it's a heat treat, it probably needs to go in a lot hotter than 450. Yeah, this stuff, it still feels pretty raw. So on the next batches, I'm going to remember this type of Jasper needs a lot of heat. I think it might not improve much, but I'm going to try it next time. If you try it before I try it, just try it at your own risk. I don't know if it'll work. Sometimes these things break up with excessive heat. Yeah, but heat treat is so much easier when you're trying to run long flakes. Yeah. See that? All right, let's see. That's not good. I'm going to try to chip away some of that by cheating a little bit. Gently at first and then a little bit harder. And if it doesn't go right away, I don't force the issue, because it can dive. These flakes can dive in. So now that I brought out the pad, it reminds me of I'm gonna buy a bunch of stuff to start making pads with power tools. So it's an investment to get set up to make pads, but I think I can do a production run with the right tools and then keep a bunch of them in reserve, a bunch of just the wooden blanks, and then I can attach a leather later. Yeah, I don't need a shop setup to attach the leather to the top of the pads, but I need a shop to produce the wooden structure. That's the hard part. Let's just get the wood shaped. And take care of the dust, the sawdust. I can't be making those wooden blanks inside the van, because eventually I work from inside the van if I'm not here at my old house. You know, if I'm not here at my old house, I have no choice but to work inside my van, which it was my goal for everything, but then I found out that I can't do everything in the van. There's too much dust. So yeah, this is not turning out exactly how I was hoping. So to take care of that, I've got to take back more of this base. So I'm going to lose length on it. I don't have any choice in this area, I don't think, unless I take back the edge. This looks pretty cruddy anyway, so I think I would rather take off the bottom than take off the side. I could shoot a flake in this way, but I'm risking it because that's the maximum length of flakes. You know, I could just create an island by sending another flake, because the flake length is not that great. You know, it's the same as that. So what I mean is, I know I can send the flakes in that far, but not much further, right? So if I try to do this, I'm actually looking at a longer than normal flake, which is a no-no. I have to make sure that the flakes I send in are in line with the other flakes as far as length goes. Some guys think that, you know, you can shoot in a really long flake at will, but no. You've got to, you can't be the gambler, you got to be the house. You got to have the odds in your favor when you're flint knapping. A lot of guys want to be the gambler. You don't want to be the gambler. You want to be the house. You want the odds in your favor. So you don't overextend yourself when you're knapping. You don't send in flakes that are, or plan on flakes that are exceptionally long. And you don't depend on luck. You know, you can take risks, but as long as you can deal with what would happen if you don't have the luck. If you can deal with what happens if you don't get lucky, then you're fine. Take the risk. But if you can't deal with what happens if you don't get lucky, you're going to be highly disappointed. Like, I'm going to take a risk here and really smack the bottom. It might knock the tip off, but I can live with it because I didn't have any plans for this one except for finishing it out as a biface, as a refined biface. Yeah, the flakes just aren't going anywhere. Not with the force I'm using. Yeah. Okay, that was good. So that one did travel a good distance. I did get lucky on that one. So now I can probably shoot a flake from here without worrying too much about creating an island. Okay. So yeah, I took that. It was risky, right? It ended up being lucky. But if it wasn't lucky, if it stopped right here and the island still existed, I could take back this edge and beef it up and then send another flake. So not only would I have a beefier edge with a better striking area, I would be closer to the obstacle so that my flake length is in line with the average. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Yeah. I'm taking risks. There we go. What am I going to do if I can't get it from this side? I'm just going to leave it in. If I can't eliminate that step fracture from the back side, I'm just going to leave that in there. Yeah, these bifaces don't need to be perfect. Oh, they would probably sell for more if they were. They don't need to be. It doesn't bother me if they're not perfect. Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure I can get it from the other side. I'll just take it down. I'll take down this edge. Taking down this edge will give me a chance to not only run flakes across this area, but run flakes up into this area. See, when I take back this edge, I can run flakes up in here. Yeah. I don't really mind losing too much width in the final stages because a lot of artifacts are narrow. Now, if I just want to make a wide biface, yeah, I'm very, very concerned about losing width. Some guys want wide bifaces for whatever they're doing. When they buy a biface from me, some of them want the wide ones. Maybe so they can resharpen it a lot because they're making knives or something. So they want to be able to resharpen it a lot. I don't know. But the width is difficult to maintain. But the hardest thing is to maintain the length. Length is the hardest to maintain, and then the width. I guess thinness is the very hardest. Thinness is the very hardest, and then length is the next hardest, and then width is the next one. At least for me. Some guys cannot maintain the width at all. I don't find it that difficult to keep it wide. It's not, for me, it's not all that difficult, but with some stones it is. You know, some stones are really, really steppy, and I can't do anything with them when they're wide. They'll just create islands and steps in the middle no matter what I do. So with those, yeah, I got to make them narrow. So it does depend to a certain extent on the stone. A lot of people say, see, I told you. It's the stone that tells you what to do, man. I told you. No, well, it does win minor victories. I told you before. The stone can win these minor victories. But you can adjust your technique to get wider and wider points. It takes practice, and sometimes you've got to add some pressure assisted percussion, pressure like that. It's all in the maintaining contact with the platform. If your tool tip can maintain contact with the platform during the flake removal, the flakes can travel a long way. That's the secret. If your tip is bouncing off when you're striking, you're not going to get long flakes. That's one of the disadvantages of hammerstone. Now, if you got a soft hammerstone that grips the edge and maintains contact, that's different, you know. It can produce longer flakes. Same with antler. Antler grips the edge and maintains contact, so there you get a longer flake. Flakes don't have any energy on their own. They need power behind them. They're not self-powered. Unless you're talking big flakes. Then they are. Then if the flake is big enough, it's not going to be like this. It's going to be like with big spalls. You hit the nodule really hard, right, with the hammer. And the flake that's coming off is actually really heavy. That can self-perpetuate. So you can knock off a huge spall without much energy, because the actual flake itself has enough weight in it to self-perpetuate. But with small flakes like this, they don't have any energy to self-perpetuate. The mass is so small on these. Extremely small. There's no momentum with these. They don't self-force their way through. So that's why it's kind of a different ball game when you've got large pieces, because the physics is different. And some guys, they don't care. They want to do the whole process from huge gigantic spall all the way down to little bitty arrowhead. They say, I'm going to start with the hugest spall possible. That way I can end up with a little bitty arrowhead if I want at the end. No big deal, right? That's the theory. That's the thought experiment. They find out that the techniques that they use to get the big piece down to a reasonable size is different, totally different than making a small little arrowhead. So they not only do they not make the big one, they don't make the small one either. They just end up with a little almond or briquette. It's two different mindsets, two different techniques. at least. There's probably a lot more than that. I don't know where the cutoff happens, but let's say 3 different things: big, huge blades, medium size, and then small. Large, medium, small. 3 different mindsets. And some guys want to be able to do all 3 mindsets in one knapping session. They think they can do all 3. That if they start with a big, huge piece, at least they'll get something out of it. Because if they don't get it, stage 1, large, and they can get it medium. If they don't get the medium, they can get a small. They end up not getting anything. If you are trying for a large one and you don't get one, and you end up with a small biface, it's smaller than what you planned, put it aside, start with another big nodule. Get that down. Try to get what you want to get out of it. If it ends up being too small, put that aside, get another big nodule, and just learn to reduce the big nodules into big blades only. If the blade starts to get too small, put that aside. Get another big nodule. Same goes for these little arrowheads and medium-sized ones. If you want a medium-sized arrowhead and it gets too small, put it aside. Get another medium spall. Start chipping it. If it gets too small, put that aside. You got to stick with your range, either large, medium, or small. Okay. Once you get good at large, medium, or small, you can move on. I recommend starting with small first and work your way up. But some guys are upside down. They like doing the other way. They like starting large and then they'll work small. I recommend starting small and work your way up. I think it's more valuable to know how to make small points because you can always make small points out of debitage and stuff. To me, making small points is a more valuable skill because it can take advantage of small flakes. There's a ton of small flakes out there. You can get them easy. So you'll always be able to make something if you get good at the small ones first. And then you can graduate to bigger and bigger. But, you know, some guys, they can't do it that way. It's perfectly fine. You can't do it that way because for some reason your muscles just won't like it. Or you get ADD like me. You hate to do certain things for unknown reasons. You just hate doing them. You're not going to be able to do the small ones because you just hate them. That's fine. Do the big ones. But if you want my recommendation for the guys that can just, doesn't matter what you tell them, they'll do it, then I would recommend starting with small pieces. Some people don't have any problem. I was just watching a guy that is a neuroscientist or whatever. Some people only have discipline for certain things. They can only get themselves to do certain things. And there is a blockage when it comes to doing anything different. There's a literal blockage, a chemical blockage in the brain. It won't let you do it. It just shuts down. So I'm going, well, I guess that explains it. It'll shut you down. You need medicine, actual medicine, to prevent your brain from shutting you down. Otherwise, there's no way to get past it. So, yeah. I was talking to one of my sons about that. He says, yeah, Dad, you should get the medicine. Because I tell him the same thing I tell you. There are some things I just cannot do. I mean, I know how to do it. I've done it before. I can force my way through it. But it doesn't make me happy at all. It makes me grumpy. Makes me really, really grumpy. I mean, intensely grumpy, and I guess the chemicals say, well, if it didn't work last time to prevent him from doing it, I'm going to dose him with a huge dose of this chemical next time. So there's no way he's going to be able to do it next time. Yeah, he got away with it that time because, you know, he snuck up on me, but the brain says, I'm going to prevent that from happening again by dosing him with a huge dose of that, whatever chemical it is. Yeah. I said, well, yeah, he was on antidepressants for about a year, way back in the day, when everything was starting to hit bottom, right around the time I lost my job. They laid me off. Just before they laid me off, I was on medication. So I could stay motivated at my job. And it was a good thing because it allowed me to think in a totally different way. Medication allowed me to think in a totally different way, and then I said, aha, I know that I can think in a different way. I don't need to be this way all the time. So that was it. When I left my job, I got off the medication. Have not been on it since. That was like 10 years ago. Yeah, it was an eye-opener. Literal eye-opener. My depression was so bad, it affected my thinking to where I was pretty much thinking in tunnel vision. I could only do one thing. I could not do anything else. I just go to work and that's it. I didn't have patience for anything else. I couldn't add anything else to my schedule without getting grumpy. It was like tunnel vision. Literally, everything else was nope. Can't do anything else. Absolutely not. But these, except Flintknapping, which was strange, right? I liked doing it. I could do it no matter what. It was something actually that I liked doing, and that I felt productive doing. So I could do that. I found out that was the one thing I could do no matter what. So for a while there, for a few years, it was just work and Flintknapping. That's it. Anyway, it's much better now. My poor diet was aggravating my condition, and my psychologist didn't tell me that my diet was a huge part of why I was feeling the way I was feeling. I was pre-diabetic. Yeah. Insulin resistance and all that. Very inflamed. Lots of inflammation. My joints hurt, my back hurt, my neck hurt. I would get these shimmering migraines where you see shimmerings in front of your eyes. Not the painful migraines, just the shimmering migraines. And until I changed my diet. And I have not had a shimmering migraine in over 3 years. 2 or 3 years. I used to get them twice a year. Something like that. So I think this is the end of this particular thinning and shaping. Yeah, I'm going to leave that in there to try to get that out. I don't know. I could try to get that out. That's just very, very risky. I would need to take this side back and try to get it like this, because I can't get it with a frontal attack. If I try this side, that's a long distance, and it's not conducive. I've already taken. It's kind of there's not enough meat right here. There's more meat, it seems, on this side to take a flake, but still not much. I tried to pick that off there, but if I pick it too much, it leaves metal marks. Yeah, I picked off a couple of those flakes there. You know, you can always grind it a little bit to reduce the sharpness of it. Take the same stone and grind it. Sometimes it'll polish it, which will look kind of funny, because the rest of it will be dull except for the polished surfaces. But I'm just going to leave it. Yeah. Okay, so that's it for that one. Let's do this one. I think I remember this one's a little bit easier to knap. Yeah. Not all this Jasper is the same, just like every other stone. Yeah. It's not the same. Same temperature, but yeah, it's knapping a lot different. This one is sweet as far as the feel of the flaking coming off. And it's a little bit glossier. So it feels more like a heat treat instead of a raw. Now down here it might be more difficult, but up here it's nice. So yeah, I'm abrading a lot more these days, which is kind of ironic because I try to do some of the techniques that I see that are done in the past. I don't see much grinding on artifacts from the past. So instead of decreasing my grinding, I'm actually increasing my grinding, which is not what I'm seeing on artifacts. I don't see a lot of grinding on artifacts. Now, it could be that they wipe out their grindings right away, but it'd be too much of a coincidence for all artifacts in all time periods to have their grindings were wiped away right away. I think it's more likely that they did not do much grinding at all. Or the work that they were doing is very specific to certain areas, and that's it. They didn't do what I do and grind everything and then take a bunch of flakes and then grind everything again and take a bunch of flakes. See, because a lot of these edges are ground already. I can just strike a bunch of them. And once I run out of opportunities, I regrind it. I got a crack right there, which there's an undetached cone in there, which is bad, very bad. Undetached flakes are unknowns. You don't know where they're gonna go. I gotta worry about I got to worry about not installing a curve. When I take off really big flakes, I got to make sure I do not install a curve. Nice. Yeah, it does nap a little bit easier than the other one. Yep. And another reason why I abrade a lot these days is because I'm using steel. Steel is merciless on the stone. Yeah, you have to abrade a lot more with steel than you do with copper, as far as I remember. Well, I don't know about a lot, but you need to make sure it's abraded well. That's for sure. Probably the same with copper, but you know, I don't remember copper being this merciless on the stone. This is tough. This is not. This color up here is really easy to nap, as you can probably tell. Some guys can tell by the sound these flakes are making, or sound of the hits. But you can also tell by the luster. It's more lustrous up here than it is down here, and it gets dull down here. So I guess in this case, the rule is the shinier it is, the easier it is to nap. So that can influence which side do you put the point on. It can influence, doesn't have to. I would prefer tough at the point and easy stuff where I'm going to put notches. Yeah, I don't want the notches in the tough area if I can avoid it. If I can't avoid it, then I guess it doesn't matter. You just gotta go with what you got. But if I can do it, I like the nice material where I'm gonna notch, if it needs notches. Especially when it comes to arrowheads and these narrow entry notches and the fancy stuff. You want to be notching on the nice material. Some guys will say, well, I kind of want a tough tip, so I like the toughness near the tip. And yeah, okay, fine. And the nice stuff will be near the notches, but I prefer, you know, I'm doing it because I like the nice tough tips. Okay, that's fine. I don't like really tough tips because I usually end up messing them up. You know, if it's hard to nap, I'll mess up the tip. Some guys don't have that issue. They don't mess up the tips. They mess up some other part. All right. And yes, steel does work as a pressure flaker, as long as it's mild steel. Don't get high strength steel for this. Get the softest steel possible. If you want to get wrought iron for pressure flakers, get wrought iron. If you want to anneal your own steel and do it yourself in the forge or whatever, heat it up and let it cool down slowly, by all means, soften up that steel. You won't regret it. It works well. Soft steel works well. Youch. What did I do there? I don't know what that is. Is that some weird physics going on there? Just my luck. A little bit of weird physics. No, there's something related to that crystal pocket. Yeah, there's a weakness that caused it to want to travel in that direction. The fracture wanted to travel because that's the path of least resistance. Yeah. Yep. Took a bite out. Yep. Dang it. I thought I was being clever too with that long flake. Oh well. And watch those pockets, they'll get you. I bet you that's one reason why it took that path of least resistance, because that little defect. Yep. That's what I'm going to blame it on. Yep. Everything else is napping okay. Some guys might say, it looks like you're having the hardest time with the width and not the length. You say the length is the hardest. The reason why I say the length is the hardest to maintain is because it can snap in half. It can snap a tip off or something. That's why it's hard to maintain. Not because of the bites taken out, but because of the snappage. Yeah. That's why it's hard to maintain length, because of the snappage. Not necessarily because of the flakes taking too much of the edge. Yeah, I'm going to grind this a lot because I don't want no problems. I don't know. Looks like I'm going to have some problems because it's already getting really thin and dicey. It's not. It's not in the safe zone. Yeah. What's the safe zone? I don't know. It's just the feel of the stone to know the safe zone. Gotta have a feel for the stone to know the safe zone. And I'm feeling that this stone is not safe. Yeah. The stone has a mind of its own. It's not consistent. Some areas are really tough. Some areas are really soft. And I don't know, I got that crack again. These cracks, man. Driving me nuts. Yeah. It's the steel, I know. If I was using something softer, I probably wouldn't get those. But I'm going to make doo-doo with what I got. Yeah. That's my saying. I make doo-doo with what I got. It's not going to be perfect. I don't like the way it looks when it's perfect anyway. Believe it or not. Because it doesn't look like I made it. It looks like a machine made it. It's too perfect. Yeah, I like the bold, random flakes. Any stone that allows me to do that, it's my new favorite stone. If it allows me to do the bold flakes, I like it. If it has too many crackliolas in it, I don't like it. I got mixed feelings about this one. Dang it. There's a chance it could break on me right along that crack. And I tried to get it, but it didn't get it. All right. That's the way it's going to go. I see where it's going. I see what you're going to do. Is that what you're going to do? That's what you're going to do, huh? I see it. Dang it, dang it, dang it. Sometimes thinness can get you out of trouble. Just keep thinning it down, but this is getting too thin. Yeah, it's too thin. Yep. Thinning down a thin piece is the hardest thing in Flintknapping. Harder than preserving length, harder than preserving width. I don't know, I'm probably all over the place with what's harder than what. But I think thinning is the hardest. If I'm not mistaken, if I didn't mess that up in explaining it, I think thinning is the hardest thing. Because thinning a thin piece certainly is extremely difficult. Yeah. And although it might look easy to take flakes off like that, a lot of times that's just luck. Yeah. See that? It's supposed to carry all the way so I don't have to try to do some fancy flaking. But no. Now I gotta do damage control. I'm supposed to get that from the... That's an easy flake. Yeah. Supposedly. It's not consistent. It's tough right there. Yeah. See, that flake went pretty good. Still getting those crackliolas though. Let's see. I might have a lot of stone embedded in the tip. And I don't even know it. But who knows? Could be creating some strange physics. Having a lot of stone embedded in there. Or maybe it's getting hardened by hitting so much, you know, it gets hardened when you hit it a lot. So it's no longer soft, mild steel. It's getting hardened on the tip. That could be it. I don't know. The human eye is not equipped for knowing what's going on at the molecular level. Unless there's a change of colors or change of smell or something during the chemical reaction. But But there is no change of color or nothing. Oops. Don't do that. I told you not to. I told you. I told you many times. You don't slip. Slipping is not allowed. So yeah, I mean, steel can get hardened by pounding on it a lot without shaving off some of it. Yeah, that might have been it. Oh, dang. That was just supposed to be a little flake. It ended up running quite well. So just a matter of trimming it up, getting the fat spots off. And try not to hit it too hard, because if I do, the tip pops off. Just like the old dandelion. Mama had a baby and her head popped off. You don't want that to happen. No, no, no. So easy to pop the tip off. I could do it on purpose if I wanted to. Be a controlled tip pop, or what they call end snap. It can be a controlled end snap. Yeah. Now I could claim that I wanted to do it. Yeah, it's controlled. Did it do it? Let's see. Did I install another step fracture when I removed the first one? Kinda, sorta, I did. I don't like this Crackiola pudding down here. Let's move on to the next area real quick. I'm getting anxious. I need to do some more stuff tonight. I'm always saying that, but I'm staying up late because that's when there's no noises and no interruptions. No noises, no interruptions. But it messes with my circadian rhythm, right? I got a curve in it. Dang it. Do I care? Nah, I don't care. I tried to get that out of there. I tried to get all these nasties out of there. I can try to get some of the curve out. I don't know if I want to, though. Do I really want to? If it's a knife blade, it doesn't matter. Sometimes it doesn't matter if it's in that little dark point, that it has a slight curve to it. I like that when it does that. So it doesn't even matter too much if it's got a slight curve within that little dark point. Nope. But it still looks wonky, and it makes people itchy. Oh yes. Yeah, curve in it makes people itchy. They go, dang. I don't know. I'm itching to take the curve out. No one's commented on that, whether I'm right about the itchy or if it's a good analogy or a good description of what happens. No one said anything. It's crickets. Are you getting itchy out there? It's crickets. Nothing. No one's getting itchy. Am I the only one? You know, I start getting all, ah, man. irritated. I get irritated because I want to do it on video. I want to thin it down. On the video, I want to thin it down. I want to do points that I've thinned down on video really nicely. I didn't do it. Come on, please tell me it went all the way. Yes. But I'm getting these little... Well, that one didn't do it. Fortunately, they didn't put a crack in it. It just almost did. It almost wanted to right there. But that's it. I'm not pushing my luck. Nope. No more long flakes for me on that side. Just little touch-ups. Little touch-ups. Yeah, there you go. It wants to do it though. Dang. Wants to get itself into troubles. It's still making me a little bit itchy. I can probably thin it down a little bit more, but it's... No, I risk doing this too much. If I do it right here, if I take one more flake here and I create one of these incipient cracks, I will not forgive myself because it's totally preventable. Yeah. Just like in the movies when the hitman's about to take you out and you tell the hitman, you don't have to do this. I don't have to do that, Flake. It's true. You don't have to do this. Of course, the hitman says, yeah, I have no choice because this is what I'm paid to do. I was watching a bunch of clips on Call Saul, Better Call Saul. I was thinking of buying all the seasons, but if you buy them all, it's like $100, man. Yeah, you can buy them on YouTube, but just like $17 a season. I'm going, dang it! That's what I get for not watching TV. I want to go and watch a whole season and I can't afford it. Well, I can afford it. I'm not going to spend my money on it, though. I'll figure out a way to watch it. I watched the whole season of Breaking Bad, yeah. But I haven't seen any of the Better Call Saul. I better watch it. Okay. So that's it, right? These two. All it needs to be is sharpened around the edges and maybe a few more flakes to try to take out some of the stuff, damage control some of the stuff. But for the most part, that's it. Them's are good enough tater chips the way they are. And this one too, good enough tater chips. So yeah, I'll just probably offer them all together. How's that? That one really bugs me though, right there. Yeah. Right there. I tried to get it. It might be able to be pressured out with a long pressure flake. Let's see. Maybe I can pick out some of it. It looks like it's pickable. Hold on. Just out of curiosity, what happens if I pick on that face of that step? See, I took a flake right there. Does it run deep? Let's see. because if it doesn't run that deep, I might be able to pick it out while I'm here and take away some of the bumpy spots. Anyway, let's see what this does. What do we got? Yeah, it runs kind of deep, doesn't it? But it doesn't run all the way through. It's just one of the weird ones. Yeah, see, it does run kind of deep. But it's not a deal breaker. It just looks weird. Yeah. Now for that little dart point, you don't want those cracks in it because impact probably break it right there. You won't be able to reuse it. But for a knife, as long as you're gentle with it, it should last a while. You can resharpen it without an issue. Should be able to. I'm just seeing what the edge feels like. To fix it, I would have to take back this edge a lot. Take back this edge a lot. Just pressure it a lot and see if I can get that out with pressure. But then, you know, it's curved, so it just end up being more curved if I were to take that out. But it's fine for a knife. Yeah, even though this is heat treated, it's still tough. So yeah, on the next batch, I gotta watch for this material and put it in at a higher temperature. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it. Okay. So let's get a thumbnail and call it good. Thumbnail photo. I'm gonna put these in the heat treat. How's that? These little bitty flakes. I got a heat treat going. Not going, but I got a heat treat batch sitting right there. I'm gonna throw these in the batch. Yeah. All right. I have not heat treated that stuff yet. I'm just adding to the collection. Little bitty flakes. All right. Come on. Come on. All right. Flintknapping selfie time. Beautiful. Okay, that's it.